Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the really complex story of Swami Vishnudevananda. Here's a man who brought yoga to millions of people. But his legacy, well, it's seriously fractured, with reverence on one side and some pretty profound accusations of betrayal on the other.
So, how does this even happen? You've got this celebrated global teacher, and at the same time, these incredibly serious, hidden allegations. It really makes you question everything, doesn't it? Not just about him, but about leadership, trust, and what we choose to believe.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at how he became such a huge pioneer in modern yoga and the amazing image he built. Then we'll get into the other side of the coin, the contested legacy. After that, we'll talk about how you can even begin to navigate these two totally different stories. And finally, we'll tackle the big question that all of this leaves us with.
Okay, first things first. Let's really get a handle on why Swami Vishnudevananda is such a massive figure in the world of yoga. You kind of have to understand his impact to get the full picture. So, his whole journey to the West kicks off in 1957, and it starts with this very direct, very powerful mission from his own master, Swami Sivananda. The instruction was simple: go and spread the teachings of yoga, just like that. And that single sentence, well, it basically launched a global movement. He had this huge task of taking ancient Eastern wisdom and making it work for a totally different modern Western audience.
And boy, was he successful. The official story, the one you'll hear from the global organization he founded, it's a story of incredible achievement and powerful spiritual leadership. Just look at this timeline. It's kind of staggering when you see it laid out. He's born in India in 27, arrives in the West in 57, and by 69, just over a decade later, he's creating the first ever yoga teacher training course in the West. Then he's flying his own plane on peace flights. In just a few decades, he went from being a relative unknown in the West to this massive global figure. The speed of it all is just incredible. So you can see his influence was absolutely vast. We're not just talking about a yoga teacher here. No, he was a total institution builder. He founded the International Sivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers, wrote this bestseller that basically became the book on yoga for so many people, and he trained thousands of teachers. He didn't just teach yoga, he literally shaped the business and practice of it on a global scale.
But, and this is a huge but, that celebrated story is not the whole story. Not even close. Decades after he passed away, a completely different narrative started to emerge, one that challenges the very foundation of everything we just talked about.
Yeah, we're talking about posthumous allegations of sexual assaults and abuse of power. This counter-narrative, which you can find in detailed reports and very personal testimonies, it paints a picture of a man who allegedly used his immense authority, his spiritual status, to cause real, profound harm to people, including some of his closest followers.
So what are we left with? You've got these two portraits of the same person that are just polar opposites. It's so stark. How on earth are we supposed to make sense of that? How do you navigate these completely conflicting stories? Okay, this table really lays out the conflict perfectly. On the left, you've got the public persona, the spiritual master, the peace activist, the global teacher. And on the right, you have the allegations: abuse of power, sexual misconduct, a pattern of hidden behavior. And these allegations aren't just whispers. They're documented in things like Project SATYA, which was a big independent investigation that gathered testimonies.
And this is what makes it so tough. The sources of information are themselves totally divided. You go to the official Sivananda websites and you get the celebrated legacy. Then you read independent investigative reports and you get the serious allegations. And then you've got things like Wikipedia trying to sit in the middle, trying to somehow present both of these opposing stories.
And all of this brings us right to the heart of the matter, to this central dilemma that, honestly, has no easy answers. How do you hold these two completely irreconcilable stories in your head at the same time? Really think about it. What does it mean when a teacher's positive contributions, and they were massive, coexist with credible allegations of really serious harm? For so many people, followers, students, the whole yoga community, this forces a really painful reevaluation of a legacy they never questioned. It brings up those classic, difficult questions. Can you separate the art from the artist, the teachings from the teacher?
It's interesting. Even the source material kind of points to this challenge. It basically says the user may check for themselves how credible they are. There's no simple verdict handed to you. It puts the responsibility, the burden of inquiry, right back on us, on the individual who's trying to understand the whole story. It's telling us to look at everything from all sides and decide for ourselves.
So in the end, this whole thing raises a really profound question, almost a metaphorical one. When a foundation is cracked, can the structure still stand? The story of Swami Vishnudevananda, it's about so much more than just one man. It really forces us to think about how we remember our heroes, how we deal with really uncomfortable truths, and what's actually left when a celebrated legacy is just broken.